You know, I grew up in a very small town on the southeast Kentucky, East Tennessee border. And back when I was a kid, it seemed like everything that we did revolved around the working class. And what I mean by that is the music we listened to was working class music. The shows we watched on TV were about working class families. And shows like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, that just didn't resonate with people around here. And if you were from up north, or especially if you were from New York, people around here would view you as highfalutin, like you were above us and you thought you were better than us. It was always like, yeah, Yankee coming down here thinking he's better than me and you. That's some bullshit. That was always seemed to be the mentality. So back when I was a kid, if you'd have told me that one day a businessman from New York, who is the epitome of the Lifestyles and Rich and Famous, would be resonating with people in my part of the world, I would have laughed in your face. I would have said that's impossible. Something like that could never happen. But here we are. And I've got some clips I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to show you just how ridiculous this whole MAGA shtick has gotten. And for those of you that grew up in my part of the world, and hell, all over the world for that matter, ask yourselves this: would this stuff have flown back when we were kids? Here's a clip at Kimberly Guilfoyle's birthday party, and this is how they're acting. Check it out. See, I come from a time where that one clip alone would absolutely end a presidential candidate's career. If you said, hey, that's this presidential candidate's son's girlfriend, that's a birthday party she was having. If you'd have shown that 30 years ago, whoever was running for office, that would have been the end of their campaign. Because I come from the era where Dan Quayle simply told a kid to put an E on the end of potato, and his career was over after that. He was toast. But we really shouldn't be shocked when we see Kimberly's birthday party like that, because after all, she was also drinking and dancing on January 6th. Take a look at this clip.
Kimberly!
So there she was, drinking and dancing on one of the darkest days in American history. Although in MAGA's world, it's not one of the darkest days. It's a day they celebrate. They did just this past year. It's a day that going forward, they will celebrate because that's the day they showed up and acted like patriots. But what was really happening is that Donald Trump convinced them that the election was rigged, knowing good and well he lost it, and his family's there celebrating the fact, really, at the end of the day, let's just cut through the bullshit. They were celebrating the fact, hey, look, we got all these gullible rednecks ready to rumble. That's what she was really dancing over. But if you'd have told me back when I was growing up that one day a presidential candidate would come along and he would win, and this guy would be president of the United States, but he would have his own line of merch. I mean, people would put his face on every T-shirt and every coffee mug, and they would put his name on flags and fly them from the trucks and their boats and their house. And if you'd have told me that they was going to erect big gold statues, if you'd have said that to somebody back then, they would have said to you, well, that sounds like the making of a dictator. I mean, we can't have that. That's not what politicians are. Politicians was never that to us growing up. But it is to them now. Take a look at this clip.
Throw it up! Throw it up!
Awesome.
That is so cool. We're the people. That is so cool. For years.
Now, I can remember being in church when I was a kid and hearing the preacher deliver sermons about idolatry and about worshiping graven images and about bowing down to a golden calf. And those same preachers that warned me about those things, they don't see anything wrong with that. But if you think that is bizarre, what in the hell was this?
His power over us grows stronger yet, and though demons turn from you, they glance behind. The President of the United States is in our spirit and your voice in one combined. The President of the United States is in our mind. He's there, the President of America. You're on, Mr. President.
Now I know you're thinking, what in the hell did we just watch? What in the hell was she singing? Well, these were the words. His power over us grows stronger yet. And the dims turn from you, they glance behind. The President of the United States is in their mind. This is some of the weirdest behavior that I've ever seen, and there's no other way to describe it but cult-like behavior. I'm sorry, it just is. There's no other word to use for it. There's no other way to accurately describe it. And this type of behavior, of course, is going to lead to nothing but juvenile behavior. When you see a guy driving down the road with a jacked up truck that's got a flag flying off of it with Trump's head on Rambo's body, how are we ever supposed to take that dude seriously? How are we ever supposed to stop and actually listen to his ideas when he comes off that juvenile? And their actions speak louder than their words do. Take a look at this clip. Yeah, they're actually kicking a Joe Biden dummy. I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't line up and pay money to do that. We cannot sit back and normalize this type of behavior. I know I say that a lot, but we have to keep repeating that, folks. We cannot normalize this kind of behavior. And what you really have to stop and think about as you look at those clips, and like me, you're going, this would have never flew back when we were kids. This would have never went over. This would have ended this guy's career a long time ago. If you're sitting there having all those thoughts going through your mind, just remember, there are people out there that are fired up like never before and ready to vote like never before for that. And yes, they're voting against their own interest. And yes, we keep trying to convince them that they are. We may never get through to all of them. But we can't stop talking and we can't take our eye off the ball because democracy is on the line like never before. And those are the kind of people that wants to get it in their hands and do whatever they want to do with it. And if they would bastardize our upbringing, if they would bastardize the working class, if they would bastardize religion, if they would bastardize the flag and make a mockery out of all of it, I mean, democracy's not safe from them, is it? So whatever your issue is with Joe Biden, you got to ask yourself, do I want 4 more years of a reasonable candidate who I may not always agree with, but who at least tries to roll up his sleeves and go to work for the American people? Or do I want the rest of my life to be ran by the lifestyles of the rich and famous?